Okay, there's a couple of elements we're going to add to this poster now that we have created most of it. The first thing I'm going to do is create a drop shadow for my guy right here. And it's not going to be a regular drop shadow like from the layer styles drop shadow. We're going to make a shadow come out here because the light is coming from behind him, so we want the shadow cast in front of him. And so let's see, where is my guy? Oh, there he is, layer 2. So there's my guy. So you want to find the layer where your guy is standing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. And I'm going to hold Control and I'm going to click on the layer that my little guy is on right on top of this little square here so that I have him outlined. And then on my new layer, I'm going to name this Shadow. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to make sure that my layer is called, I'm just going to name it Guy so that I know it's my guy. On my shadow layer, I'm going to grab my paint bucket tool and I'm going to make a black paint bucket on this area right here. So I'm going to click on him and now we've got basically his shape that's been turned black. So we're going to create a shadow out of this. I'm going to go up to Select, Deselect, or you can push Control D. And I'm going to go ahead and go to Edit, Transform, and we're going to do a free transform first. And I'm going to pull this guy down so he's going the other direction. Just like that. I'm going to put his feet generally where his feet are. Pull him out just a little bit there. About that size. Put his feet roughly where his feet are. Hit Enter. And then I'm also going to do an Edit, Transform Perspective. And I may need to zoom out of this a little bit. And I'm going to grab my little handlebars at the bottom corners here and pull them out. And that's going to make it so that it's going out along the path of the road. So see how the road's perspective here is dipping in, so we want our shadow to dip in also. You can also use your arrow keys to move it into the right position. Okay, hit Enter. And I also want to move my shadow below the guy layer so that his feet are on top of the shadow. And right now it's very, very dark, very defined. We want to use a filter to blur that out. So I'm going to go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. This kind of blur blurs from the middle out. And you can turn up the radius of this and you can see the shadow actually change here as you move the radius up. And so I don't want it to be completely undefined. So maybe about 9-10 pixels radius would be good. And I click OK. And it's pretty intense here. I'm going to have it fade out here just a little bit. So I'm going to make a layer mask. And I'm going to grab my gradient tool. And I want it to go from black to white. And with a gradient on our layer mask, if we go from black to white, it will fade it in. Now I went in the wrong direction. I want these to be turned so that it goes from black to white instead. So I'm going to go like this. Oh, and we can see the shadow is being faded out. I just want a little bit of one, just a tiny bit of a fade, like that. So if I look at the shadow, it's kind of faded out right here. Okay, so our shadow is complete. Now the last thing I want to do is add Coming Soon to the top in red lettering. So I'm going to choose a red, and I'm going to choose a different font here. I'm going to choose Bank Gothic. Bank Gothic MD. There we go. Make sure that you're no longer on your layer mask. I clicked on the guy layer because then that reveals my color. If you're on your layer mask, then you can only go shades of white and black. Okay, so I'm going to click. Oh, first I'm going to choose center. Once you're on your guy layer, you're going to make sure you have Bank Gothic Bold turned on as your font, medium. I'm going to make it 72 points. I'm going to make sure that centered text is turned on. I'm going to click in the center of my top of the page here and in all caps, so make sure caps lock is on. I'm going to type coming soon. Alright, so this looks pretty good. What I want to do though is make it so that the spacing between the lettering is a little bit larger. And I've got one space between coming and soon. I'm actually going to space twice between those so that I have two spaces. I'm going to highlight coming soon, and I'm going to come up here to this little button that's called toggle the character and paragraph panels. And from here you can change a lot of things like the leading, the space between lines, and then also the kerning, space between letters. And so if I grab here where it says AV, I can pull my letters apart like this, and I can kind of see what's happening on screen here in front of me. I want this to take up most of the space here, so I put it up at about 880, so that's a good number. And I'm going to move this with my move tool. I'm going to use my arrow keys and just kind of move this so it's in the center area. And I'm going to add a drop shadow to this layer as well. So I'm going to go to Layer, Layer Style, Drop Shadow. And I'm going to make the distance a little bit greater. And the size, about 8 or so pixels. Spread, I'm going to make the spread a lot bigger so it's really bold. So there's some good numbers. Got my angle at 30, distance is 9, spread is 29, and size is 10. Alright, so we got our coming soon poster for the Suspense movie with our drop shadow, and it's ready to submit.